Chapter 17, Part 2. But finding a time to confess was not easy. The next day Sir Aubrey was shut up with his bailiff, and the day after that he was driven into York for a check-up with his doctor. But on the third day after Clovis had seen his foster mother, Sir Aubrey suggested a little walk round the park. He took his stick and a pair of binoculars and put on his deer stalker and they set off. "Time you got to know the estate," he told Clovis. Before they crossed the courtyard, Sir Aubrey stopped by the statue with the severed head. He touched the neck stump with a stick, then ran it over the battered forehead and the nose with the head lying on the ground. "Something I wanted to ask you, my boy," he said, "about this statue. Could you leave the head the way it is after I go? Because of Dudley. Something to remember him by." He sniffed and blew his nose. "After you go, sir?" asked Clovis. "After I pop my clogs, turn up my toes, die, you know what. When everything in the place is yours." Clovis took a deep breath. Now was the time. He couldn't go on with this lie. "Actually, sir," he began, "I've got something to tell you." He flushed, but went on resolutely. "You see..." A thunderous braying voice interrupted him. The basher, mounted on an enormous black horse, came galloping across the home paddock towards them. Behind her, looking cold and worried, came the three banshees on their ponies. "Came to ask the boy to tea," brayed the basher. "The girls want him to play charades." So that was the end of the first confession. The next time he was alone with Sir Aubrey was after dinner, when they served coffee in the drawing room. The fire was drawing nicely. Sir Aubrey looked sleepy and amiable. Perhaps he wouldn't be too angry. "Sir Aubrey, I've got something to tell you. Grandfather. Told you to call me grandfather, boy." "Well," started Clovis, "you see, there's been a mistake, a muddle. The Crows, Mr. Trapwood and Mr. Lowe, thought I was someone else, and..." He began quickly to tell his story, looking down at the fireside rug. When he had finished, he lifted his head, waiting for the explosion. Sir Aubrey lay stretched out in the chair. His arm hung limply from his side, and from his chest there came a deep and rumbling snore. He hadn't heard a word what Clovis had said. Clovis almost gave up after that. Only the thought of what his foster mother would say if he did not tell the truth kept him going, and at the beginning of the third week at Westwood he managed it. He was with Sir Aubrey in the picture gallery. The old man often took him there, and in particular he liked to stand Clovis next to the portrait of Admiral Sir Alwyn Taverner in his cocked hat and point out to Clovis how alike they were. "Look at the nose, boys, the way it turns up, just like yours," or "see the cleft in the chin, exactly the same." This time Clovis felt he couldn't stand this, and before Sir Aubrey could take him to see another picture of what was supposed to be another of his great-great-uncles, he took a deep breath and began. "Sir Aubrey, I have to tell you..." "Grandfather," interrupted the old man. "I've told you to call me grandfather." Clovis was getting desperate. "Yes, but you see, you're not really my grandfather. There's been a mistake. I'm really..." And this time, very quickly, he managed to tell his story. Clovis had often imagined what would happen after he owned up and told the truth. He had imagined Sir Aubrey ragingly angry or icily cold or even hurt. But never in his worst nightmares had he imagined anything as terrible as what happened next.